Okay, I'm going to show you how to make the Scarecrow pattern out of my book. And you can use any 24 peg loom, But today I'm going to use my 3/16 gauge 24 peg loom. And I'm going to be using some embroidery thread, okay? And I've got me a creamish tan color, my pants colored blue, and I want my shirt color to be red, but we'll refer to them as pants color, shirt color, and tan for the feet and the hands and the head. Okay, so I'm going to be starting off with my head, and what it says to do is you're going to be knitting circularly for 24 pegs in the tan, and this time you're just going to cast on 24 pegs, and it says we're going to be knitting rows 1 through 15. Okay, so it just says you're going to cast on, which means you can do a double cast on, you can E-wrap cast on, you're just doing a basic cast on, so it's up to you how you want to do this, okay? So I'm just going to cast on all 24, and I'm going to be working circularly. I'm going to get those extras out of the way. Alright, and you don't want to do it too tight because you're going to be trying to knit these over on the next round. Okay, now keep in mind you can E-wrap all this if you prefer. Just keep in mind you need to use thicker yarn. Alright, okay, so I'm going to E-wrap my way around. I'm going to get started on knitting my 15 rows. Okay. Now, you want to knit for 15 rows. Okay. So rows 1 through 15 is knit. So go ahead and pause the video and knit your 15 rows. And when we come back, we'll do the straw-like feature at the top of the head. Okay. So pause the video and get that much done. Okay, I have done my 15 rows, alright, and I am ready to do row 16, and it says to E-wrap chain 12, and then to decrease and bring the original loop back, and you're going to do this 12 times. Alright, so what you're going to do is you're going to take, and you're going to need a stitch marker. Okay, and you should only need one. You're going to place it on the original stitch. Okay. Alright, so you're going to wrap, you're going to E-wrap chain 12. Okay, so here's 1. Let me pull this up a little. Here's 2. Here's 3. Here's 4. Here's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Okay. What you have done is you have created a loop. Okay, you see it? Created a loop. Then it says to decrease over. Toss bottom loop over. And then bring the original loop back on your chain section. Okay. Now, you have just created this area here. It's a loop. Alright? Now, you're going to mark the next peg. So you're going to have 12 loops when everything is said and done, okay? And you're going to repeat this again. You're going to wrap and toss. This is 1, 2, oops, back up there. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. You're going to lift that up because it says to decrease. At the bottom loop over. Then it says to bring the original loop back up. Okay. I'm going to bring the original loop back up. And as you can see, you have 2 loops. Alright. Now, I've shown you how to do this twice. You go into the next stitch and put your stitch marker. You're going to continue to do this all the way around the loom. You should have 12 loops. Alright? When you are done, you should have 12 loops. See if I can get this to focus. Okay. So you have 2 loops right there. You should have a total of 12. Alright, so pause the video and get that much done. Okay, so you can see all my little loop-de-loops in here. Alright, and what comes next is it says to do a prep decrease. What this entails, you knit 2, you're going to knit 2, take one back, toss the bottom loop over, and then move it over one. Now you can just draw a string bind off at this point, alright? What we're just trying to do is get the top of that head really closed off. Alright, knit 2, take one back, toss the bottom loop over, move it over one, so that at the end of this, every other peg should be empty. Okay, cut your tail and then draw string bind off. So toss the bottom loop over, pull the tail through. Toss the bottom loop over, pull the tail through. You're going to do this all the way around. Okay, now when you look at this, what you may notice is you don't see those loops facing out. And what that means is you can go in and you can either turn your head inside out, like this, and draw a strand together, or you can pull your loops through, but I don't really want to put that much effort in, so I'm just going to turn it inside out and do it. Okay? And I'm going to tie that off. Alright? So there is your head. You have your little straw-like thing over here. Okay? So there is your head. Alright? Now next we're going to start on our body. Let's see. As a starting on our arms next, I'm going to go ahead and skip to the body. What it says you want to do is you want to start circular 24 pegs in the pants color, which for me is blue. Alright. Pull our little thing off. Okay. Alright. So we're starting off in blue. We're going to be starting with the body, and we're going to be doing a drawstring cast on 24 peg loom. Okay, so that weave in and out again. Okay, then what it says to do is to knit row 1 through 6. So you're just going to knit for 6 rows, and then when we come back we'll start on row 7. Okay, so pause the video and complete your 6 rows, and when we come back we'll start on the next row. Okay, so pause the video, get that much done. Okay, on the body I finished my 6 rows of knit, and now for row 7 I want to purl a row. So basically you're just going to go around and you're going to just purl the row. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video and purl 1 row, and when we come back we'll be ready to do rows 8 through 16. Okay, I've done one row of purl, which this purl row is going to show you where you want to sew your legs on later. So that was what you just done. Okay, so rows 8 through 16, you basically want to knit for 7 rows, all right? So at this point, you're just going to knit round and round for 7 rows, okay? So pause the video and get that much done, and we'll be ready to start rows 17 through 26. Okay, I've done my, I think, 8 rows, and now I'm ready to do rows 17 through 26. And it says to change color to the shirt color. So whatever your shirt color is, mine's going to be a more fall color. Okay, so I'm going to change up. Okay, so what I do to change color is I tie my new color around the color that is there now. Then I shove to the very base and pull. Then I'm going to cut the color that is on there and leave myself enough room to do a half knot. Then I'm going to do a half knot where I wrap it around, pull it through. This is classified as a fisherman's knot or magic knot. What you're going to do is try and get that knot as close to the base of the other knot as possible. All right. Okay. And what you're going to do is pull until you have a resistance. Okay. And when you do, you can actually cut it very close. Okay. Now, we've kind of pulled that a little tight. And loosen those stitches up a little. Okay. And it's okay if the first couple of stitches are still the other color, it'll blend better. Alright, so what you want to do now is you want to knit rows 17 through 26. Now if you need to know how many rows that is, 9 rows. So go ahead and pause the video and knit for 9 rows, and then when we come back, we'll be ready to finish off our body, okay? Okay, I have finished my body where I've gone in and done the upper half, and at this point what it says to do is to do a drawstring bind off, okay? And so what you're going to do is you're going to toss the bottom loop over and pull through. Okay, and you're just going to do that all the way around. You're not going to pull it tight. You're just going to pull it in such a way that it makes a indentation so you don't have to pull it completely tight. Alright, so go ahead and pause the video and finish this up. And then we'll be ready to start on the arms, and that will be our next section. Okay, so pause the video, draw string and bind off, and then we'll come back and start on the arms. Okay, so I have completed my body, and as you can see, there's my bottom. And so when you go to stuff it, see, there's your bottom, and then there's your top. And here is my head. I've started pulling my little things through that I had created, and I'm going to kind of show you how to do that if you don't want to use the purled side. A lot of times you can grab it and push it through when you see it, and If you need, you can grab a crochet hook to pull it through. And that way, if you want, you can have your little things you made on the right side. Okay. So, if you want to do the purl side, you can. If you don't want to do this method of pushing your things through, that's fine. Okay. But we're going to be starting on the legs and stuff. So we're going to be starting on the arms and the legs. And I think I'd like to start on the arms first, because they have more of a complexity to them. Okay, so it's up to you if you want to do this method. It will certainly give it more of a random look by pulling it through. If you choose to do that. So, you just kind of feel your way through and push them through when you find them. Okay, and you kind of see that it has more of a random look about it, and looks more like a scarecrow. Okay, the only reason why I'm mentioning how to do this is that we're going to be doing this similar technique on the arms. But I'm going to show you something that you might find really helpful when it comes to doing this again. Okay, and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, but I have, I think, 2 or 3 more of those to pull through. Alright, so there's my body, there's my head. Okay, so what it says we're going to get started with, we're going to get started with our shirt pattern first. And what we want to do is it says we're going to work flat. We're going to work over 12 pegs. We're going to start with the shirt color, and it says we're going to cast on 12 pegs, and then our first thing we're going to do is knit for 10 rows. Okay, so wrap that around and just ear up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay. So at this point, I'm going to be knitting my way back. Okay, once you do your ear up cast on, you can knit your way back. You can do a double cast on, you can do a drawstring cast on. Just know that you're not going to drawstring it down, you're basically going to just drawstring it to a point where your cast on is straight if you do a drawstring cast on. So it's entirely up to you what you want to do. There's no wrong or right way to do something. Okay. If there is, I specify, but for the most part, there never is. Might I suggest for most of this to knit the last stitch like the first stitch, and that will make it easier to sew up because you'll have a chain to follow on the end. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video and knit for 10 rows, and then when we come back we'll be ready to change color to the straw color and then start working on the hand area. Okay, I've completed my 10 rows on my arm, and then it says to change color to the straw color that you want. And so what you want to do is you want to tie that around the main color. You want to pull that as far down as possible. Then you want to snip the color that's on there, pull it around, do another half knot around it, and then you're going to try to slide it as close to the base as possible. And then you're going to pull it, and that should give you a nice snug color change, and you should be able to just snip the tails just fine. Okay, once you do that, then you're going to loosen up that stitch, and at this point you are going to knit for 5 rows. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video and knit for 5 rows, and we'll be ready to start our little straw area next. Okay? Okay, I have completed rows 11 through 15, and then what it says to do is on row 16, E-wrap chain 10, decrease, bring the original loop back, and then you're going to knit that 6 times. Okay? So what you're going to do is you're going to E-wrap chain 10. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, now what that means is you're going to decrease. You're going to take that stitch, you're going to move it over one, and you're supposed to bring your original loop back. This is where you may want a stitch marker to tell you what your original loop is. Okay, now you have done that. Okay, so bring your original loops back, and you need to remember that this is a decrease, so while you moved it over, you still have to knit the two together. Okay, alright, so you've done that, and it's the same thing like you did on the head. So you want to go ahead and do that in the next section. You're going to do that a total of 6 times. You should have 6 total loops. Alright, so go ahead and pause the video and complete row 16, and we should be pretty much ready to go in and finish your arm up. Okay. Okay, so you can see I have done all my little loop-de-loop things. And what it says to do after do that, row 16, is it says to draw string bind off. And so what you want to do is you just want to go to the opposite side and toss the bottom loop over, and pull through. And keep in mind, you're going to want to do the same thing that you did with the head. You're going to want to pull those loops through. So you're going to want to pull those loops through. And so you probably won't want to do a full tight drawstring until you have those loops pulled through. Okay, but you're going to repeat the same thing again for the other arm. And then what you want to do is you want to get started on your leg, and I'll show you how to do that. And basically when you finish the arms, and then all that's left is the legs are pretty easy. They're just a little bit of decreasing and color changing, so they're really not that difficult. Okay. So. I'll show you how to get those started. And at this point, we will have completed our head, our body, our arms, and then we'll need to do our legs. Alright, so before you close that off, what you'll want to do is, I take my little crochet hook, is before you draw string off completely, you can actually see your spots and where to pull them through. Okay, so you can grab it and pull it through. And grab it, pull it through. Okay. Alright, so there are all your little loops. Okay, your little straw loops. Then all you're going to do is you're going to sew up the sides and then you'll stuff. Okay, so let me show you how to go about making legs. And yes, I opened up my other thing that was able to complete the head and the finishing of an arm. So two of these little things can, on a 3/16, should be able to finish up the head, hands, and feet. Okay, so we're going to start with the legs. It says we're going to be working flat. We're going to be working over 18 pegs in the tan color, and it says to draw string cast on 18 pegs. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Okay. Shove all that down. And you're going to work your way back. Alright. So you're just going to get your drawstring cast on set up. And then what it says you're going to be doing for the legs is you're going to knit for 4 rows. Okay, so you're going to knit back and forth for 4 rows. And then that's when you'll be decreasing. Alright. So at this point, you should be ready to knit back and forth for 4 rows, okay? So go ahead and pause the video and knit for 4 rows, And when we get back, we'll be ready to do the next section, okay? Okay, so I've done my 4 rows, and for the next 2 rows, I will be decreasing on the end stitches. And so I'm going to move my end stitches over and decrease. And the reason I know this is I see a decrease at the beginning and the end of the row. And so when you see that, when you see a decrease knit 2 together, then knit 14, and then a decrease knit 2 together, you know you're decreasing on the ends. And so when you know that, it's easier to just go in and decrease on the ends and just knit everything. Okay. And we're going to do this for 2 rows, and what this is doing is creating a foot area. Okay. And that's row 15, and then you're going to decrease again, which you see not on row 15 but on row 5, and then on row 6 you see the decrease again where you move that outer stitch over and then just knit your way across. Then you're going to change to your pants color after this row, and then you're going to basically knit for what looks like about 10 rows. So knit your way over, then change color, and then you'll knit for 10 rows. Okay. And then you do this for both legs. You repeat the same thing for both legs. Okay. So I'm now ready to change colors. So I'm going to come back to my blue color. There's my hand. Okay. So and yes, these things can get all matted up. I've been known to go in and wind them up before using them. But I don't use these often. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to take your new color, tie it around the one that's on there, half knot, push all the way down, tighten. Then you want to take your scissors, give yourself enough to do a half knot around the new color. Then you go in and you do your half knot around your new color. And then what you want to do is you want to try to get as close to the blue knot as possible so that you can pull resistance. And when you're able to pull resistance, you can cut it fairly short. And you should have tightened up a couple of stitches in order to do that. When you do that, you want to go in, you want to loosen up those stitches. What that does, it puts it right where you need it. So, right there. Now, what you want to do is you want to knit back and forth for 10 rows, and when you are done, we'll come back and we'll do a bind off. Right? And when you drawstring, you don't drawstring it all the way down, you only drawstring it to where your stitches are straight. Okay, so if you feel comfortable with this, you can go ahead and make 2 of these, make 2 arms, and then you should be ready to come back and work on the putting it together, okay? So go ahead and pause the video, complete your 10 rows, and I'll come back and show you how to bind off. Okay, I have done my rows, and now I'm ready to just bind off. So I'm just going to knit that second stitch, move it back 1, toss the bottom loop over, move it over 1. So nothing special, standard bind off here. You're going to make 2 of these, and then I'm going to kind of show you where you need to sew things up. And then we will assemble everything. Okay. Okay, I have binded off, and when you drawstring, you only want to drawstring it to a point where all its stitches just line up nice and clean. Okay, then you want to fold in half, and you want to sew up your leg. Okay, and you want to sew up your arm, and you'll want to close up the bottom of the body, and then close up the top of the head. And then what you'll want to do is you'll want to stuff the head, stuff the body, stuff everything. When we come back, I'll show you how to sew everything together. Okay, so I have all my parts, and there's my legs, there's my head, there's my body, and here are my arms, my legs. And when making something this small, you want to get something you can kind of start to shove in there. So there. And that's how you do it. You get you something with a flat end to be able to shove it in there with something this small. Okay. So what you want to do is go ahead and stuff everything, and then you're going to sew it together. Okay. So go ahead and get everything stuffed, and then we'll come back. Okay, as you can see, I have sewn one arm and one leg on. I've stuffed everything, closed everything off, that kind of thing. And so what I want to do is show you how to go about doing this. Sewing on your legs is the easiest thing to do. I typically smash this flat and sew the legs together. Okay, and I sew them along the purled line. Okay, so I fold in half. And then I'm just going to sew it onto the purled line. So you see that little purled ridge, just send it through there. Okay. I've sewn on my legs, which is a good first start because the legs will show you approximately where you need to sew your arm on. And these just need to be sent through. One smaller crochet hook. Okay. But you'll send your crochet hook and you'll pull it through. Okay, so what you're going to find here is the arm lines up with the leg. Okay, so you go to the outside leg and you're going to line that up. And you're going to line sewing the arm up at the very top of the body for the most part. Okay, now I'm going to use the same strand that I sewed the one arm on to use to sew the other arm and just send it through the body. The less tying and knotting that I have to do, the better, and things don't show up later when the child is playing with them or you have to wash it. Okay, so I'm going to send this through and I'm going to line that up, and a lot of times what I'll do is follow a column. So that column will do it. So I lined it up in the right column. Okay, I'm going to pull that through. Right, and then I'm going to make sure my seaming is facing down and work from the top to the bottom. And keep trying to line it up with that column, okay? And just sew it down. So the top of the body, lined up with the column, it's on the outer edge of the legs, okay? So you can see it there. Now, I need to sew my head on. Okay, so now I'm going to sew my head on, and what I'm going to do is use my shirt. I'm going to weave that in a little bit, and then I'm going to send it through the body. And because I haven't done a face on here, it should be a little easier. Okay? So I'm going to leave it in a couple of times, and then send it through the body. Okay. Once you sew the head on, your scarecrow's basically done, and what you probably want to do at this point is create your face. Okay. So what I like to go do is cinch some eyes. I like to go to the back of the head, and I like to find approximately where I want to cinch my eyeballs at. And I send it through, and I send it back through, back to the back of the head, okay, the base. And then I like to pull it, okay. Then I send it back up again, and try to find where I want my other cinched eye to be, and I think that's where I want it. There's no exactness to this, so you know. Then you send it right back through the back of the head, and then you pull it tight. created a little cinched eye area. And what I'll do is add a little black paint there to create an eye. Okay. At this point, I'm going to tie off my red. And send it through and cut it. Okay. So now all I have left to do is put in two little black eyes and weave in all my ends. Okay, and then I am done. That is how you make a scarecrow.